Welcome to Roundhouse Roulette, a Walker, Texas Ranger podcast. Thanks for joining us as we recap and review one of the 200 existing Walker, Texas Ranger episodes randomly selected by Roundhouse Roulette. And I need to say something. We're all in a room together right now. It's happening.
It's true.
But who is we all?
Exactly. Got a little head of the carriage here.
I'm Evan Dalton. Also here is my brother Adam.
What's going on?
And a mad scientist turned military contractor, Mr. Bob Leahy.
Well, thank you very much.
Man, been a while.
Yeah, this is the first time the three of us have been in a room since we started the podcast.
We, we'd like to thank you all for joining us as we recap and review Chuck Norris's sci-fi odyssey, Walker, Texas Ranger.
God, it certainly is this time.
Today we'll be recapping and reviewing Season 8, Episode 15, Thunderhawk, where Walker and the Rangers have to chase down a mysterious military weapon. Will we get to see it used? Don't know.
Hope so.
Anyways, before we grab our nondescript silver briefcases and head on down to the local airport, why don't you join us all as we hang out at CD's Bar and Grill? Fancy meeting you guys here.
Yeah, man. It's great to be in the same room, and that room being CD's Bar and Grill, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a different room.
Mm-hmm. What does CD have on tap for us?
Wow. Today, CD has bagged a peak and come down from the mountain with a Mountain Hopper India Pale Ale from Atlantic Brewing Company. And this is they're brewing it in Bar Harbor, Maine.
It's Bar Harbor.
Sorry, Bar Harbor, Maine. Yeah. As the menu states, this is a juicy, citrusy American India Pale Ale, which means it's brewed with Simcoe, Citra, and Mosaic hops.
Right.
This double dry hop beer delivers a complex hop flavor and aroma with a mild bitter finish. We're going to test that.
Yeah. You think this beer packs the power of a Thunderhawk?
I don't know.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah. Amen. Let's do this.
Pop, 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 pop.
Pop, pop.
All right. Cheers, boys.
Real life cheers. Look at that, huh?
Spilled on your computers.
Yeah. Yep. That's right up my alley.
Yeah, man.
It's got a taste as big as Cadillac Mountain.
Yeah, I wonder if the Thunderhawk could destroy Cadillac Mountain.
Easy.
Yeah, you think
Easy.
so? We'll get into this later, but I just kind of want to put it out there now. Well, needless to say, this beer definitely packs a powerful punch.
Yeah, citrusy, piney, I'm into it.
Well, CD, you done good, man.
So, what's been going on?
Well, I thought, maybe we talk about the reason of the season. We are going to go to a music festival tonight and see Wolfpack. So I think we need to do a before and after here. The anticipation.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Okay, all right.
All right. Well, Bob and I have some predictions. Neither one of us has been to this festival before.
I haven't
Bob
either.
thinks there'll be hippies.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm more convinced it'll be
Frat boys?
or like I went to go see this is in southern New England, in a fairly affluent town. I went to go see Styx play. And I was bewildered at the crowd that was there because I don't know where they came from.
So what are you saying? You didn't answer the question. Who's going to be at the Levitate Fest?
People who look like they'd be at a Styx concert.
That's what you think? Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because we're like close to Boston? That's what
It's also, there's no camping.
That's a big thing I didn't think of.
right.
Camping brings out the real weirdos.
Yeah, so you
Is
gotta
there camping nearby? Though?
Right,
Is
but
there like
you-
a state park?
And you also, there's no public transportation either. You need a car to get there.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point,
Oh,
too.
man. Yeah. Well, not if you had Mr. Roboto to drive you there.
This is going to be like
Arigato.
This is going to be like functioning hippies, like high functioning alcoholics, like high functioning hippies.
Okay.
They made it out of their days, and they're
Yeah.
like mid management now, and
Yeah. I think kind of disappointing hippies.
yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Okay.
Pretty normies.
We are going
Are we
to...
normies?
I think very much.
I think, Wolfpack, though. Evan, describe Wolfpack to the audience. If you haven't checked out this band, and you like grooving, nerdy funk music, I think you should check it out. But Evan, how would you describe Wolfpack to the late?
You described it right there. It's basically like someone took sticks and put them with.
No, you take sticks. Sticks does not apply to this situation, Evan. No, sticks is not even close, man.
All right, they're like a bunch of nerds meets funk. I can't really.
White nerd funk.
Yeah,
done.
Like
3 words.
funk?
Done.
Like mathcore, but math funk.
Well, but
there's no math.
4/4. It's all
no
4/4,
math.
baby.
But
No
I mean,
math.
it's syncopated. There's some stuff going on.
Sure.
Some serious syncopation for sure.
Yeah.
It's pretty much my wheelhouse. The only thing it doesn't have is like extremely progressive, like multiple sections, 20-minute long songs, that kind of thing. But it definitely tickles my jazzy funk bone, as well as
That's what you call it. Okay.
the jazzy funk bone, as well as placates to the absolute nerdiness that I love in most of the music I listen to. So
Yeah.
it's pretty fantastic.
It's going to be good. And Old Crow Medicine Show is opening up. So, I mean, get it off the bucket list. Hear Wagon Wheel live from the original band.
That's by Darius Rucker, right?
Oh, is it? You're right.
Do you think they'll play some Hootie and the Blowfish songs, just like tongue in cheek?
They should do a medley of like Wagon Wheel and Only Want to Be With You.
Only want to be there.
And for the record right now, I want to put this out there. The line, the dolphins make me cry, right? I thought it was actual dolphins that made him cry.
It's a football team.
I didn't get it
team,
was
man.
a football team
Yeah.
until recently. I was like, I always like, that's the weirdest thing. He just must love dolphins.
I mean, who doesn't?
They probably played around SeaWorld, so that makes sense. He's like, it's the environment for those dolphins is so sad. Well, moving on here, Evan, we got the news up here. You got the news section.
Wow, yeah. Here's a blast from the past.
I just handed you guys a copy of the Nashville scene. And can you describe the cover here, Evan?
This could have been shot straight out of Ernest Goes to Camp.
Which we have definitely talked about on this podcast, the connection between Ernest Universe and Walker Universe.
We've talked about it a couple
That's
times.
right.
yeah.
That's right.
And in the movie Ernest Goes to Camp, the actor John Vernon, who is the guy who killed Walker's father in Walker, Texas Ranger, is the bad guy. Also, Gaylord Sartain
Gaillard Sartain.
is also in it, and he played CD in the pilot of Walker, Texas Ranger. So
Let the record show Adam pointed at me like, blood's on your hands for that pronunciation.
well, you
got it.
Yeah, you got Gaylord.
Whatever.
But anyway, they had this whole cover article in the Nashville scene, and it's the 35th anniversary of the movie. And the camp is an hour outside of Nashville that they filmed it at, and apparently looks about the same. And they hold annual viewings of the movie. They have actors who are in it come and talk. Kind of cool.
You live an hour away and you didn't know this existed until now?
Exactly.
Wow.
So next year, I think we have to go to check out.
Can we put parachutes on a pet tortoise?
Yeah, they actually use real turtles in that movie.
I'll have to go back and watch,
No,
but
I don't know.
no, there's one. I'm pretty sure they do. I remember once biting someone's nose.
It looked real.
It did.
Yeah, like in the movie, if you haven't seen it, they at the end they have like parachuting box turtles as a weaponry, really.
I'm not sure they're box turtles. I'd have to go back and look to get the real ID. But
Okay, do you think they're red tail?
They could have been red-eared sliders.
Okay,
It's possible.
snappers.
Most commonly available in the pet trade is the red-eared slider. So
Okay,
semi-aquatic,
all right. Well, anyway, I just respect to Ernest Goes to Camp. A lot of Walker connections there in the Ernest universe. You know what I mean, Vern?
Know what I mean, Burn?
I mean, this magazine oozes hipster like.
Well, this is the thing that comes
called
out
The
every
Scene.
week.
Oh,
It's the Nashville scene, Evan. They lists all the shows every week in Nashville.
I mean, there's
called
a
The Scene.
political comic in here that's got Tucker Carlson on it. I'm pretty sure he's friends with. Well, never mind.
Well, the article about Ernest pretty much talks about how he got pigeonholed as Ernest, and he really wanted to branch out in there later in his career. It's kind of interesting to read about. You guys can read about it. Let's just read the whole article now.
No, that's okay.
into the mics, yeah. Get that.
I think after you do Ernest Scared Stupid, I think pretty much anyone will pigeonhole you into that role.
Well, no,
Saves Christmas.
Oh,
Right.
was that was after, wasn't it?
No, it might have been between there. Scared Stupid was the last one that went to the theater.
Right.
But then he did the direct-to-video, like, Slam Dunk Ernest, and that's when it really got a little sad, you know?
I remember getting that out of the library to watch. Interlibrary loan, Slam Dunk Ernest. That happened.
Interlibrary. So the library you went to didn't have it, and you had them
Correct.
ship it from another.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, that thing happened.
That's great. That is definitely a great example of disappointment right there.
I think it's a fantastic use of the power of interlibrary loan.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
IPA.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Oh, yeah, all right. Well, moving on here, we actually got a comment on our website, and we have been saying, like, we have, like, for each episode of the podcast, we have a page on our website, roundhouseroulette.com, and we've been waiting for someone to actually just leave a comment on it, you know?
On our actual website?
Yeah, on our actual website.
Wait, this means that I have to review all of Santana's albums.
It does. Now,
Oh,
granted,
They don't know that, though.
Granted,
If they
Evan,
go back.
granted, this comment wasn't on that episode page, but it was still on the website.
All right, I think I'm out of it due to
Yeah.
a technicality.
Yeah. And also, it says new comment from Bob.
I
So-
did put one a long time ago.
That was a
You remember
while
that?
ago.
Yeah, but I don't think this is it. This is a different one. This was on the our blog about how to watch episodes of Walker Texas Ranger. Bob says, "Where's Walker Texas Ranger Complete Series DVD episode guide?" And until I responded, I said, "That's what this podcast is, dude."
Yeah, it's a slow burn, but
Yeah,
you gotta
come
wait.
on.
You gotta wait till we figure it out.
Wait a few years.
But yeah, so if you didn't know, you can troll us on our website as well. We love trolls, right?
We really do.
Especially the one in Ernest Scared Stupid.
We also had a little support. Someone picked up a fresh action figure on our website.
I mean, fresh is being generous, but I think it did run through your dishwasher. Is that right?
I hand scrubbed and soaked, and I watched it soak for over 2 hours.
You just sat there and looked at it
Yeah. And the weird part was the figure looked at me the whole time, too.
like the Mona Lisa, just kind of follows
I mean, the
you.
joke's on you because you know how they make things out of plastic that prohibits bacterial growth? A Chuck Norris action figure is obviously going to have that property no matter how old it is. So you don't really have to wash them.
Okay, well, I'm still going to do that for
All right,
listeners out there. Evan,
It's a polish.
Yeah,
More
yeah.
polished than the wash.
yeah, it's like
Okay,
shine.
It's a standard that I will uphold for this podcast.
Okay.
All our figures are lovingly cleaned, not in a creepy way.
It
time you say
it sounds
not
really
creepy
creepy. Yeah. Well, thank you, Caleb, for picking up another action figure and giving Adam a reason to wash action figures in his kitchen. So
Yeah, thank you, Caleb. You paid for a month of hosting for Roundhouse Roulette. That's one way you can support us here if you dig the podcast, what we're doing. But another way you can help is if you want to leave a review for us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And we had been lamenting the fact that we really didn't have a lot of written reviews after doing this for over 2 years. And we just got one last podcast in 2020. Well, we got another one here.
I thought we were only getting
2
one a
years
year.
later.
Yeah, we actually we
skipped a
doubled
year.
up.
Yeah.
No, we doubled up. We got 2 in 2022. We got another iTunes review, and we want to give a shout out to Maverick 1992. I wonder if that's a Top Gun reference, you think? He says, outstanding, just hilarious. Most podcasts about TV shows feel like a chore after a few episodes,
I feel that.
but not Roundhouse Roulette. Okay. All right. We'll take that.
I agree to disagree. You know?
I love the pace, and I generally enjoy every minute of the podcast. The reenactments are brilliant.
Oh, we haven't done one of those in a while.
I
Roundhouse
had-
reenactment.
I wonder if he's because we kind of put our Roundhouse reenactments into our ads now. So those are kind of reenactments, right?
Right.
Yeah, don't let that go to your head, man.
He says, P.S. I use the term vehicular transference every time I get the chance. So
I hope for his sake that that's
yeah, and I'm assuming
often.
Maverick's a he.
right.
But I don't know. But thank you, Maverick 1992, for the review online. And I mean, you're helping us get out there to other people who like Walker Texas Ranger, and we're all in this together.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, we've got a lot to cover this week, and I do mean a lot. So let's get on into this. If you're watching along at home and don't want any spoilers, hit that pause button and watch Season 8, Episode 15, Thunderhawk. And if you're not totally floored, come on back to us. All right, welcome back. Let's dig into this beast. This episode originally aired February 5th, 2000. So in the new millennium.
Wow, yeah, we broke past the 90s here.
We sure have. In a big way.
Yeah, definitely technologically.
Oh, for sure. It's the future. And it opens on CD's Bar and Grill. And I would say this is maybe one of the more awkward exchanges we've seen in quite some time betwixt Walker and Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's reading like a magazine. What's it called?
It's called Future World. And I looked this up. The magazine doesn't exist, so they made that prop for this episode. But basically, this is a classic
har moment.
Yeah, this is a men are from Mars, women are from Venus level conversation between Walker and Alex. And it basically evolves around life expectancies of future generations. So,
Yeah.
Alex is reading this article basically saying that in the future, like the first people that are going to live to over 100 regularly have already been born.
Yeah,
and you know that women have a longer life expectancy than men.
Yeah, because men they bottle up all that anger, and she was asking like how Walker gets it out. We know how he gets it out.
Roundhouse kicks.
Totally, right. No doubt. Why is she even asking him that question?
Well, I was going to say this is a very meta conversation because in reality she's talking about how men don't show their feelings. And I would say in this episode in particular, Chuck Norris is not showing much emotion whatsoever. No.
Exactly.
Complete total deadpan.
He's pretty stoic. Yeah, pretty stoic.
So. You know, that according to Alex, that is why women live longer. It's because they let their emotions out and they don't bottle it up.
Okay.
And apparently, if you are to bottle up your emotions, she believes that will lead to cancer. So,
she probably read that in futureworld.com or whatever.
Do you guys think there's any truth to that? Because it kind of made sense to me, you know?
Yeah, it kind of run true. Really,
yeah, that's science.
True. Yeah,
that's science stuff.
It seems. I mean, you know. No.
No, not really at all.
I mean, clearly, Walker's not really buying any of it either because he's kind of giving her a hard time, and just as he's about to reveal his feelings and really let it out, Trevette comes in and says that there's a robbery in progress, so they've got to go.
Saved by the bell.
Yeah, pretty much. And Alex is just left to order a hamburger.
Yeah,
and chill by yourself.
Yep.
At CD's, which is probably good. I mean,
there's worse places to chill.
Yeah, you pick up a magazine, get a hamburger,
get some chili.
Yeah. Done.
About it.
Done.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
And
they don't serve beer there. So.
And also wait the whole episode for Walker to come back at the end and talk to her.
It seemed that way. She's been there for like a week.
I don't think.
You left me hanging, and I've been sitting in this chair for a week.
Yeah, don't worry. I had food. So
I had a hamburger.
We're good.
That sustained me for a week.
Unbelievable.
We get to the next scene though. Do you guys?
This next scene is fire.
A lot of Floyd Rose dive bombs. Too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Music this episode, I mean, I would defer to Bob for the final, but epic.
Yeah, all over the place. I had plenty of notes.
So, some of the music, oh my gosh. Yeah, but screaming like shred guitar, right? With dive bombs on the Floyd Rose tremolo arm.
Oh, yeah.
So literally hearing it just clack the body of the guitar when it hits because it's just those strings bottoming out.
I mean,
it's a thing of beauty.
Eddie Van Halen, rest in peace, man. But he rolled over in his grave when I listened to this for sure. There was some movement. So, anyways, there's a robbery in progress, and it's our favorite red van. I think we've seen this red van multiple times.
The
now.
circle window in the back. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like with repainted with like maroon spray paint.
And painted on bullet holes, of course. But yes, and this group of goons who's completely out of control.
And apparently they're like a gang known as the Cowboys that kind of came out of nowhere, but
Lame.
they didn't even look like cowboys, right?
I don't know how they got the name the Cowboys because they are probably the best band of bandits we've seen in quite some time.
It's so good.
They needed a much better name.
I mean, they're up there with the the mercenaries hired in the flashback episode we saw.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're up there. These guys out of control. A group that could only be described as a turn of the century group of 20-somethings that have nothing better to do than to steal stuff.
Steal computers and turn them on the black market.
Yeah. So they're stuffing computers into the back of this van, and all the computers are made by a company called Computer World. So this was the time in America when everything had world after it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's Guitar World.
Yeah, Guitar World magazine. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, Computer World, Future World, we've got it all here. These guys are great. And their leader, how would you describe their leader?
I'm at a loss for this guy. He has like comb back hair, but it's kind of like, how would you describe his haircut? It's like
Wild.
I was more drawn to his voice and his accent, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Was it a speech I think
I thought
some
for
of
a
them he
minute,
put on
yeah.
a speech impediment.
I think he bit his tongue or something.
Yeah.
Maybe he had a tongue ring.
Oh, that would track with this guy.
2000, that's about right.
If he got, because he it was like, is he like a Louisianan, or is he from Louisiana, or like what's going on?
He's an actor on Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
There's
though.
some kind of like Brooklyn accent or like
It was
gangster.
really
like,
weird.
Yeah.
One of his
All over the
lackeys
map.
also had like a Northeast accent.
Yeah.
Like in one line, he only had like one line.
Before he got rubbed out.
But needless to say, this guy is crazy. He's kind of like he has like brown hair, like this like comb back, kind of slick back, but it's kind of like Ace Ventura a little bit hair.
Yeah. And they're
See that.
all dressed like cafeteria workers with like a baggy blue shirts and black pants.
And so he's kind of like telling everyone load up the van with these computers, and they look like pizza boxes with like the words computers written on them or something.
That's what I thought initially. They're just loading up their truck with pizzas. No, man, those are laptop computers, and those are worth a ton on the
Right. And they could have just left, but this leader, who will come to know his name is Deke, and he just couldn't just like leave. He's like, oh, this will be cool. He pulls out a grenade and rolls it into the computer store and like just revels in it blowing up, which was amazing. It was hilarious.
There are a couple stunts in this that I think are like really close. Like there was that one, Jacob's Ladder, where the fireman named Jacob, who runs a ladder truck, gets shot. Yeah, he's the
That's right.
That's how I remember that episode.
That's literally how it went down.
Where these gang members blow up a house, and it's a real explosion, and it happens really close to the car, and you watch these people like flinch, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure some shrapnel got that dude.
Yeah.
When this happens, same deal.
Yeah.
That explosion really close to the van, and he's like,
Seriously, Deke was saved by his Ace Ventura tuft of hair on his head, I think.
it could have been.
Yeah.
But there's another stunt right during this scene as well that I think goes south. This is when Gage and Sydney show up on scene, and they crash their car into a wall, and it's
Just immediately.
it's real.
yeah, it looked
They crashed the
uncomfortable.
car,
Yeah.
and then they did a voiceover of Sydney saying, "I'm driving next time," and I think this was a failed stunt, big time.
That's funny.
We have
And
to
that-
talk to somebody.
Well,
Yeah,
this I don't think
I'd
this is
be
a failed.
curious.
I think this is what
didn't
Mignon
look-
was saying about how they were literally supposed to do a drive up and stop, but they kept going and accidentally crashed into a wall.
yes,
So
this is it.
so
This
it
is
was-
it.
So it wasn't really a stunt. It was just a normal shot. Like Gage and
Yeah, 'cause
Sydney,
I laughed out
Yeah.
loud when it happened. 'Cause it's like, what?
they were supposed to roll up and stop and then go after the bad guys. But I guess Judson Mills didn't actually stop the car and slammed it into a wall.
It definitely looked real.
It was real.
laughed.
Yeah.
Yep. And
He just reshot it with a different car.
well, the car
just
might have
keep
been
it- it's
jacked.
fine.
Car would have been damaged.
That might have been another day. They were like, hey, whatever, we'll just leave it in.
I love
And
it.
so that must be the root of it. And even in another episode, Sydney is making fun of Gage for his driving abilities.
At least
Yeah.
one other one, right?
Yeah,
It's
for
a running
sure.
joke.
It's a running joke for sure.
But apparently that's what happened, according to Mignon. Check out our interview with her.
Anyways, the Cowboys actually are able to get away because after a brief gunfight where one of the Cowboys is taken out, their leader throws another grenade at the car that was just crashed into a wall.
Yeah, which was Gage and Sydney's car. And they're like, oh, a grenade. And they start running. But before the grenade goes off, they stop running. And then it goes off behind them.
That's
And then they look back. Wouldn't you just keep running?
Yeah.
I also don't think running would be a good strategy in that case, but
What they should have gotten in the car, or what do you think?
maybe, yeah, like it rolled underneath their legs. Like
I don't
they
know.
were
I
running-
don't know if I'm following orders from you next time a grenade rolls in. Oh no! Oh! It was great because, first of all, we had no idea how Gage and Sydney were going to show up, but they were just showed up. And then just as you're like, man, what's going to happen? Walker and Trevette just show up randomly, no explanation, none really needed.
Of course.
Walker's like, what happened? Was it the Cowboys? And Gage and Sydney are like, oh yeah, it's the Cowboys. And Gage is like, yeah, their leader, he had a thing for grenades.
Yeah.
Did we skip when he said Merry Christmas too?
Did he?
Oh, did Deke?
Yeah.
Before he threw the grenade, he threw.
And it was really badly dubbed too. So it's like Merry Christmas.
yeah. And he rolls a grenade under their car.
I rewound that like 10 times. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, well, so they shoot and it should be said, they shoot and kill one of the Cowboys, right? And then the Cowboys drive off after the grenade's thrown. And Walker and Trevette pull up on the scene pretty soon after this happens. And their first reaction is to go over to Gage and Sydney, but there's like a dead guy on the ground.
Well, he's dead.
But they don't know that. Not only that, like
Yeah, no one checked.
This is Walker. dude.
no one called like an ambulance. No one went over and checked on the guy. Like all that you get is Gage being like, "Oh yeah, we got one of them."
Oh no!
we got
like-
one.
Oh,
It's like,
we got one.
I mean, it seemed odd that when backup shows up, the first thing they do is ignore the dead guy on the ground. It seemed weird.
I mean, this is Walker Texas Ranger.
I mean,
dude.
Texas Rangers might have different training, so I don't know. Anyways, all right. So the Cowboys escape, and at which point we zoom to Lamar Research and Design, and this is where the title of the episode starts to make a bit of sense because the Thunderhawk. It's complete.
Yeah.
We don't know what the Thunderhawk is, but
We
we
only know
know
what's
that
done.
it's some sort of prototype that's going to be tested by the military. And there's a squirrely scientist who's really benevolent and
Yeah.
loves everything. And
Right.
he thinks this is great. But he makes sure that his head of security, who we know is a bad guy because he's an actor we recognize.
And his
Yeah.
name. What was his name? Becker?
Becker.
Yeah, Becker.
Yeah, you knew that.
Becker's
And-
never good.
Yeah, it's like, dude, And then he rolls in there, and he looks like a snake, and he's wearing all black. So you're like, okay,
Yeah,
all
it's
right.
like, all right, bad guy. Bad guy ID'd. But the head of security is taking this to be tested out at a military secure location. So
What could go wrong? Let's find out.
we point out right now. So the suitcase is handcuffed to Becker's hand,
Right.
right, or his arm or whatever, and they drive off. It's pretty intense because what's going to go wrong? Oh, a tractor's going to pull out in front.
Yeah. Not suspicious at all.
Right.
Right?
Maybe
Right.
one of the tractor's got
this
a
is
trailer,
amazing, right.
a trailer piled high with hay. Okay,
It's like a green John Deere tractor with like he's pulling hay bales, and Becker is in like one of three
two SUVs.
Okay, two black SUVs, and his driver's like, man, I don't know, this is a little weird. This tractor is pulled ahead. I feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't like this.
Yeah, this doesn't look good. And we're like, okay, is like, are there other cars going to come or something? Or
That's definitely what I expected initially.
but what we got was a million times better because they do a shot of the hay bales,
It's like in old cartoons when they really had to work to make things move in the cartoons. Like when something was about to move in the cartoon, you knew it was going to move because it had like thicker lines around it. You know what I mean? This hay bale or this stack of hay had thick lines around the middle where there was clearly a cavity and there was a dude with a rocket launcher.
Yeah, it just pops out.
And he popped up, and he was wearing like redneck garb, right? He was like had overalls or something.
Well, yeah, you
like
got to play the part. He had to get in. He had to get in.
Oh yeah. So he's like, the night before, I'll leave the rocket launcher in there, but I gotta keep the character.
Right.
Yeah, put on my best flannel and blow this vehicle up.
Yeah, so he pops out with a rocket launcher and takes out the car that doesn't have the Thunderhawk and Becker in it. And Becker's driver's like, oh man, I better go off. And then like 2 identical vehicles show up or something, right?
Yeah,
They're
got
GMC Jimmys. I think.
Yeah, there was a good
first
deal
ones
on
were the bigger.
good deal on Blazers or Jimmys or whatever they are.
They're all GM. Yeah. This episode brought to you by General Motors.
Well, the bad guys' cars were definitely brought to them by GM.
Oh, for sure.
So they got in pursuit of Becker, and he's like, oh yes, I don't know, we got to get out of here, and whatever, and his driver's firing back on this other SUV, and then finally Becker shoots his own driver, right?
Yeah, but he waits until they're in like the riskiest place possible to shoot the guy.
Right.
He's
I kind of did this. Break this down. Set this up. This is insane.
Yeah, so they're getting pursued by these other vehicles, and the driver, he doesn't know that the guy sitting shotgun is about to kill him, and he's trying to evade them. So he makes a sharp turn and starts going over this old country bridge with like some sort of obstruction in the middle of it, right? And Becker's like, this seems like the best place to shoot the person driving the vehicle we're both in.
While I have a road case.
Yeah.
And my seatbelt's not on because I couldn't put it on because I have a suitcase attached to my arm.
Yeah.
By handcuff.
Yeah. Becker would have been dead at the end of the scene for sure. So he shoots the guy. He shoots the driver in the gut, who wasn't expecting it, because this is when his driver's like, what, you're bad? When we knew this all along. The viewer's like, this guy's bad news.
Yeah.
So we're like, why did he just shoot the driver? Because this car is going to go. It literally does like a in the air flip.
Yeah,
right?
it flips over.
Fancy, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Flipping and contorting. And I'm like, he's still in it.
And without a seatbelt on. Again,
Yeah.
he would have been so dead. So dead. Instead, he's got a slight scratch on his forehead.
Yeah, someone took like a red Sharpie and wrote a few lines on his forehead, and then the SUV catches up with him, and there's this guy who we later learn is Jackson, and he's like, oh man, Becker, are you okay? He's like, oh yeah, I'm okay. Okay, take it quick. And they had some bolt cutters, and they cut off his handcuffs and took the Thunderhawk in the road case, but left Becker there.
Mm-hmm. So, man, we know the game is afoot here now.
And not soon after, Walker and co. come up, and they're, interrogating, or not interrogating, just making sure everything's okay on the scene, and asking some basic questions of Becker. And Becker's like, oh man, I don't know who these guys were, Walker. Not sure.
Walker's like, complete deadpan. What did they steal?
And he's like, only one of the most dangerous military weapons ever.
It's the future of modern warfare.
Yeah.
The quote there.
And so Walker and Trevette go visit Lamar Industries to see what the heck is going on. And Lamar, he's having a great time explaining his invention, which is a sonic laser.
That's right.
Right. Sonic laser, which much like a light laser, a sonic laser focuses sound waves into an intense beam, which is capable of doing very powerful things. And he's got it all queued up on his computer. So exposition, fire away.
Right. But he's like, Walker's like, what would this be used for? And he pulls up a video of like them demoing a building in Las Vegas to build a new casino or something. He's like, this took a whole crew.
Yep.
Except this could have been done with one of the Thunderhawks.
Absolutely. Or, it's got amazing implications for the medical field.
Right. Kidney stones?
Yep.
Evan, imagine when you had your kidney stone if they had the Thunderhawk.
I wouldn't want the Thunderhawk in that room. I'll tell you that. So, then Walker's like, well, Becker said it was the future of modern warfare. And Lamar gets really serious. He's like, it's not really what I invented it for, but it could potentially.
But here's the slideshow that I already created for
So it could blow up the planet.
He's like, okay, well, here it can do all of this. And here's a simulation of if 6 of them are in orbit around Earth.
What? Now they're in orbit?
Right. Right. And in retrospect, let's face it, he named it the Thunderhawk.
It's supposed to fly.
Right. Well, would you call a medical device a Thunderhawk? No. But you call like a weapon the Thunderhawk.
And mind you, we haven't really seen the weapon yet.
No.
Yeah. We've only seen the case. We've seen the case
The
of it.
suitcase. Yeah. So they're like, well, okay, that seems pretty intense. And he's explaining a sonic laser. Now, I want to tell you guys, a sonic laser has been invented. It's real.
Is it called the Thunderhawk?
No, it's called a Sazer because
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Thunderhawk is way cool.
laser
Way
is
better.
right. Well, yeah. Laser is an acronym, right? Light is the first word. I don't know what the others
Azer,
are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Light
so
Azer.
Sazer is
Needless to say, this guy is kind of oblivious. He's not, though, because he had the slideshow prepared.
and he named it the Thunderhawk.
Yeah, he knows this could be used for
come on.
malevolent means.
Right. Anyways, we have a stark contrast between the sleek interior of the Lamar Industries and the crash pad of the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah. And Deke,
Oh, yeah.
Deke is there. He's behind the kitchen getting another beer, and he's about to do a toast for one of their fallen soldiers
Pour
there.
one out, yeah.
He's like, Billy, or whatever his name. Billy was such a great guy, guys, but, he died for the cause so we could get these computers and sell them to make money.
So over the top.
It's
Man.
great.
I love this bad guy.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
fantastic.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah. So they're holding a memorial for him, and he's talking about their next big scheme, which is all about this warehouse he knows about. And apparently it's Warehouse 57 at the airport, but he calls it Warehouse Airport 57.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, whatever. He was having a little liberty with it. But also, they were all holding up beers and like cheersing, and the labels were all turned in this scene.
Okay.
So,
To keep us from knowing what they're...
what brand they were.
Well, it's Pearl beer, right?
Well, it probably was Pearl Beer.
Yeah.
No, not Pearl Beer.
Oh, speaking of which, our friends at the Talented Slackers podcast recently did a podcast on Lone Wolf McQuaid
Oh, yeah?
that I listened to on my flight here to see you guys.
So, Talented Slacker style, they watched it in its entirety and did commentary
Real
at the
time?
time.
Exactly.
Excellent.
It was
All right.
classic. And I had Mondo had messaged me that they were going to do it, and I said, dude, you need to get some Pearl Beer for it. And I sent him a link to literally locate Pearl Beer. And there are multiple locations in the Dallas-Fort Worth area where they're at, where they could have picked it up and had it for the podcast. But Mondo, you said, dude, I couldn't find it anywhere. Dude, I'm calling you out right now, bro.
Ooh. Is there beef right now?
There's beef.
There's no beef, Mondo. Let's just say you take your podcasting so seriously that you're not willing to drink a beer during it, and we just downed an IPA for this, so
I got
our
a pool over
podcast
there,
is going to
so-
get a bit more sloppy.
All right. Well, they it was legit. So check it out. Talented Slackers take on Lone Wolf McQuaid. We shared it up on Twitter. Check it out.
Meanwhile, Warehouse Airport 57. And this is really where the Cowboys leader really shows off his speech impediment / accent.
I think it was an accent or tongue ring.
Could be a tongue ring.
Yeah, probably tongue ring.
Anyways, that
changes,
scene,
too,
that
throughout the
scene's-
whole thing.
right. That scene
that's probably
concludes to them saying, "Amen to being rich," and that's it.
Again, his vibe is so weird that you're like, this guy's awesome.
He's got chaos energy.
He
for
does.
sure.
Well, he rolls
chaos.
grenades and says "Merry Christmas."
I know. He's season 8's Mad Bomber.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Rangers are, trying to figure out what's going on, and they do a lot of interviews, and they're getting the runaround from Becker here.
Right. The scientist is like, "Oh, we couldn't have had any bad seeds here."
Yeah.
It's
Background
literally
checks on everybody.
Yeah, and Walker's like, well, who does the background checks? Well, me and Becker, the guy all dressed in black.
I know. Who you swear you've seen be a bad guy on something else.
The guy with big bad guy energy.
Yeah. And Becker's like, well, we could probably get them a list of all the people who work here just so they could check it out. Would
that be okay? Would you want that? Is that something you're interested in?
And Walker's
I'm
like,
very helpful, aren't I?
right. Walker's like, when can I have that? He's like, well, probably this afternoon.
I'll get that to you this afternoon,
Right,
man.
and
I'll do a little internet search. It's
Yeah.
faster than Trevette. I can do it.
Right. So Trevette and Walker, they walk out, and of course Walker's like, oh man, we're going to check these all out, but we're also going to check the scientist and Becker out too, because, this seems a little fishy.
So, Trevette's running his check on the employees at the industries, and Gage and Sydney, they got a little bit of a hot tip on who this guy they shot and killed was. So they get this ID on who this dead guy is, and they're starting to put the pieces together, I guess.
Right.
But, these are details that neither people watching the show in 2000 cared about, nor do podcasters reviewing the episode right now care about.
No. But we're glad the scene is here, regardless.
Yeah. Are we?
This episode uses these scenes like punctuation, really.
It is.
It's like, This is when, like, I know in commercials you would go get a drink, but this is like you could look at your phone. If you had phones 20 years ago.
It's like a comma. It's a breath in the episode.
Just
Come up for air. All right, so Trevette's starting his check on the employees, and meanwhile, we see a little bit of a phone conversation between Becker and the Sheik.
All right, and who is the Sheik, Evan?
Someone who we assume, because his name is the Sheik, and the music that plays is like Sting playing the saxophone at the end of Tea in the Sahara. So we assume he's Middle Eastern.
Yeah, it's like some like weird Middle Eastern tones, but they go from like the shredding guitar to like bringing it to like a Middle Eastern vibe in the weirdest way, right?
And then it goes into like straight up Eastern, like there's tablas and like Indian music. I'm like, what?
It is masterful. Masterful. This is at the end of the episode when we see him again, but masterful.
But they seeded it.
Yeah, for sure.
What's funny is they didn't really say where he was from until later on.
Correct.
Then he's Iraqi.
Yeah, we don't know who the Sheik is, but he's willing to pay $50 million for the Thunderhawk. And he's going to pick up the Thunderhawk, and the Thunderhawk is in Airport 57 warehouse.
Right. And so we're just going to chalk this up to a coincidence.
Very much so.
That Deke and the Cowboys are planning to hit this place to get electronics later.
They want to get some more Computer World Pizza Box computers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. So this really, sleek operation where, Becker, who we learned earlier, Becker's also done security at the airport before his job at the Industries. So we know that he's got an in at the airport, and this is where he reunites with the guys who picked up the Thunderhawk earlier, including his his right-hand guy, Jackson. And they're talking about, the Sheik's going to come in an hour. He's going to get the Thunderhawk. He's going to get $50 million.
It's like we're all going to be rich.
So rich.
Yeah.
It's basically like a gentrified conversation or a gentrified exchange based off of what we saw the Cowboys do in their squad house or their crash pad.
Yeah, these guys are stealing computers. They're a little more scrappy.
Yeah,
these guys are stealing world-ending Thunderhawk murder weapons.
Yeah, and selling it for $50 million.
To the Sheik.
So they're talking about this, and they hear a knock on the door, and who should show up but the leader of the Cowboys, Deke.
Yeah, he's in a little disguise there.
Right, he's in like his little delivery guy outfit, and he's like, yo, man, we got to pick up these computers here, man. Where are the computers? And Jackson's
That's pretty good Deke. Right. Yeah, that's how he talks.
Jackson's like, no, I have authority here, and you're not allowed in here. And Deke's like, yeah, man, whatever, man. We're just gonna, whatever, man. It's cool. And then
Jackson's like, sorry, man, got to shut you down. And he shuts the door. But then, like 2 seconds later, Deke and his crew just lift up the lift gate. It's not even locked.
They lift open the door, which isn't locked.
Yeah, the lift gate, which is right next to the door, for their trucks.
I mean, this is season 8. I was expecting them to blow up the door or drive through it.
Right.
Damage more property, please.
Yeah.
Season 8.
Yeah. Deke and his cronies have Becker and Jackson and all of the guys there in the warehouse at gunpoint.
Caught them with their pants down.
And they start stealing these electronics and stuff. And Becker eyes the Thunderhawk road case, and Deke sees it. And Deke's like, What we got over here?
Yeah.
What you got over here, man?
Should I check it? I have to check it out.
Check this out, man. It's really true. Would you have something nice here?
Yeah. And Becker's kind of like, no, don't get the Thunderhawk.
Just take the computers and go. You.
Yeah, that's what he says. But no, Deke has one of his other lackeys hold Becker and company at gunpoint while he opens the road case to the Thunderhawk, and we feast our eyes on this murder weapon.
Yeah.
The brilliance.
And what else is in there?
It's user manual.
The owner's guide.
Which naturally Deke just throws on the ground.
Immediately throws away.
We don't need the instruction manual for this.
I mean, what kind
We
of
don't
guy?
know what it is. We definitely don't know the instructions.
What kind of guy is Deke? He throws out the instructions.
Yeah.
The Deke kind of guy. Yeah.
He's a wild card.
He is chaos. And he's like, well, we don't need this. And he throws on the... So good. And he grabs the Thunderhawk, runs out, and throws in his trademark grenade.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, just because
One for the road.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just as a little topping.
Yeah, nothing punctuates an exit like a grenade.
Right. And one of Deke's guys got tagged in the shoulder when they were trying to escape.
That's right. And he let us know because he goes, Deke, I'm hit. And I knew he was going to get hit too because the first shot we saw of him was him getting ready for the squib to blow up. You see it? He braces himself.
He's like, not near my face.
Right, he braces himself. And then we see one of Becker's guys fire a gun, and then we see the shot of him afterward. And the squib blows up, and he's like, Deke, I'm hit, man.
So good. But they get off, and they have the Thunderhawk, and literally Becker and company, who we thought were sophisticated, just got owned.
Yeah, they just got pantsed, man, by Deke and the Cowboys. So anyways, they're like, well, I guess we got to get out of here. And he's pretty upset. He's like, they called him Deke. Find out who Deke is.
Yeah.
But every time he said it sounded like Dick. Let's just be honest here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Becker, he's not the most polite of people, so.
We'll find out later.
Yeah.
But,
So anyways, now we know there's a bit of a turf war going on here, and the Rangers kind of stumbled upon it. So they show up to the airport, and they see that a grenade's been blown up. There's some grenade fragments. They found those pretty quick. They're in a Ziploc bag. Trevette's got those.
he's like, this looks like the Cowboys' handiwork.
Yeah, and Walker looks over and he's like, "What's this?" And he picks up.
Is Chuck Norris here?
Right, he picks up evidence, which is the manual from the Thunderhawk. But again, this is really sloppy police work. What is he doing? That has the fingerprints of Deke, the leader of the Cowboys. It has the fingerprints of Becker on it, probably. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty key piece of evidence. You're just picking it up off the floor there and reading through it. And he just took it with him.
Yeah. He didn't bag it.
All right, yeah. But he's like, well, this is interesting because it looks like both enemies were here. Or, I guess it could be one and the same, honestly, as far as he knows. But
yeah. So they find that. And then Trevette's like, Becker had connections to the airport.
Right. He worked airport security for a while. He was head of it. And, the Thunderhawk, after it was stolen, was here. Interesting. Man, nothing. Let's not worry about that till the end of the episode.
No. So next is what I think is maybe one of the best scenes in this episode, which is an establishing shot of the... We've only seen the Thunderhawk from above. Now we see the Thunderhawk in its full glory.
Its full naked glory.
Right. Which, can you describe it?
I don't think it's worth describing. It's not worth trying to describe.
It looks like they took the Metroid's arm and cut it off.
Yeah.
Put it on a table.
It's a little more pointy than that. Right?
Yeah.
It looks like a prop from RoboCop or something.
Yeah. It's all silver, and it apparently goes over your arm. And it also has a motorcycle handle to support it on one side.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah.
Because one arm goes in, the other has a handle.
Yeah, you got to hold it for the recoil.
And to keep it steady, too,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And so they have Deke and the Cowboys all around this in a black room. It's on a table centered, and they're like, what is it? I don't know. And And Deke's like, well, it looks like some sort of weapon, and he's like, why don't we go try it out? And someone's like, no, man, I don't think we should be messing with this, man. This is about out of our league.
Yeah, that was a specialist that they brought in.
Well, that's later. That's later.
Yeah, this guy's like, let's go test it out. And Deke's like, do you want to be the one to test it out? And the guy's like, no.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he's like, I don't want my arm to be incinerated when I try to pull the trigger on this thing.
So my mind is blown by the quality of this prop.
Yeah, I kind of want to recreate this prop, so I don't know how. Though.
Well, also
paper
like,
mache.
well, I was saying to Bob before the podcast, this prop has to have come from something else. We don't see props made for Walker, and we know that like one of their prop masters is just like a gun guy, right? This isn't
just a gun guy, Evan. Get out, Evan.
No, like
okay,
that's
he has
all
grenades too.
Yeah,
but like this is like created by some sort of prop master, and I'm fascinated by it, and I can't figure out where it came from, and I want to know where it came from.
All right, we're starting the crowdsource now.
Yeah.
All right, help us find.
I have
the
to
source
know.
of this.
Was it actually created for Walker Texas Ranger? Like the premise of the device itself, and later on we'll get into like how it works and the implications of that.
I don't know.
But like this is not something that would just walk into an episode of Walker. This is something that will walk out of another episode, be seen by someone who's working on Walker, and be like, "Oh yeah, we can use that." And then they would use it in a Walker episode. Like it could not have been created for a Walker episode, and I hope I'm wrong.
I hope you're wrong too.
I hope I'm wrong, but I also hope I'm not, because I want to know where else it was used. Anyways, I'm fascinated by that, but I know what the Thunderhawk is because I already received the explanation on what a sonic laser is. But Deke's got a friend he's got to call up to figure it out.
Right.
Meanwhile, we see back in the Ranger headquarters that they've figured out who Becker's main guy is, Jackson.
Right.
And Jackson works at the airport. He's the one who hired the people who were killed in the altercation. So they're starting to put the pieces together. Again,
right.
We already know these pieces, so we don't care. Meanwhile, Deke's friend...
Yeah, he calls in like some... He's supposed to be like an electronics expert or something, and he looks younger than Deke. He's got to be like 20-something.
Amazing. This person could only exist in like 2000. He looks like he walked off the set of like Ocean's 11, something like that.
But he's got like that silly kind of hat.
He's got the bucket hat, which means like you're either like, again, counterculture.
You're playing hacky sack. Maybe.
Right.
We'll see him at the show later.
Or you're into electronics. And this guy's in the latter group.
And he's like, man, yeah, this is a sonic laser, man. Is like, and I'm like, wait, how did you figure this out? Because you don't have the manual, and he didn't have any testing equipment.
No,
right?
No,
and they left it in the same spot as the previous establishing shot of them around the table.
Correct. And this is equipment that has never been seen before, so.
His buddy, fresh out of community college, knew what was up.
Nailed it. Nailed it. He knows exactly what it is. And Deke's all like, well, what can it do, man? What's it do? And his friend's like, at its lowest setting, it could probably disable a tank.
Right. It would kill all the electronics in a tank at its lowest setting.
At its lowest setting.
Right.
At its highest setting, who knows? And Deke's all like, oh, man, this is awesome.
Sounds like it's worth a lot of money.
He's like, well, what's it worth, man? And the guy's like, I don't know, like $1 million maybe? And Deke's like, ah!
He's like, I got it.
How about 8?
I'm at 8. So it's like 1 for each of you and 2 for me. No, I'm kidding, man. But we're going to sell it for a lot of money.
He's like, yeah, I kid, but we're all going to be rich.
We're going to be so rich, man.
So they decided to try to fence the Thunderhawk,
man. They're going to fence it to some low-level Dallas area fences.
But at the same time, props on them from knowing that it was above they aren't going to go use it. They're just going to try to sell it.
Yeah, so they brought in a consultant, tried to get, they basically did the Antiques Roadshow.
Can you imagine taking the prop from Walker, Texas Ranger? This is a Thunderhawk prop from Walker, Texas Ranger, used in the episode Thunderhawk. Can you appraise it for me on the Antiques Roadshow?
The people on the Antiques Roadshow, they're like, well, actually, in the episode, it was appraised for $50 million. When you account for inflation,
it's probably closer to 75.
Oh, thank you very much.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, honestly, the Cowboys were more professional than Becker.
They had their act together a bit better.
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, Becker is trying to track down who these people are, and we see Becker and Jackson meet in like classic airport
top level of a parking garage in downtown Dallas or something.
One guy's backed into a parking space, and the other guy comes in front ways, and they just like they're like exchange info. And Jackson's like, "Don't worry, I got the guy."
Right, he's like, Becker's like, the Sheik, I told the Sheik we'd have it back in 48 hours. Are we going to be able to make that happen, Jackson? And Jackson's like, oh, say hello to Deke. And he pulls out this, like, picture.
Weird dot matrix.
It doesn't even look like him, right?
No.
It was made by Trevette's computer program.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Deke, but I think they folded it in 4 ways. So because it was like, that doesn't really look like him. We better fold it. That might people be like, oh, okay, we'll just
quickly flash it.
Right. I want to see the scene where Jackson's in with like a person making it, and he's like, no, nose is a little different. No, eyes are a bit more warm. A bit friendlier eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you put a grenade in this?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Meanwhile, Becker and Jackson, they find Deke.
Yeah, and Deke's like, they just show up out of nowhere. Deke
bust in the door.
Right, and Deke's like, how did you find me, man? How did you find me, man?
How'd you find
And it's great because Becker's just like, because you're stupid.
Yeah.
He's like, because you're stupid.
That might have been one of the best moments in the episode.
And Deke's just like, fair enough.
He's like, you called my bluff here. Yeah. And so, but then Becker's kind of like, where's the Hawk? That's when they start referring to it just as the Hawk.
The Hawk. Yeah.
And I didn't see like the gun labeled as Thunderhawk on the body. So it's really, he could have been like, oh, you mean those TVs we stole?
Although that prop was so dope, it probably said somewhere on it, Thunderhawk V1 or something.
With flames. Yeah. But Deke's like, oh, man, it's not, you're never going to find it, man.
I already gave it to someone else, man.
Yeah, you can't find it here. And he's like, oh, I think I will. And then and Becker shoots the guy who was already shot earlier.
He just blows the guy away.
Yeah. But I noticed, like you were saying about the squibs thing, the other shot, like the first shot he got was on his right side shoulder. The second shot, the squib was on his left side shoulder. But when the camera went to him, the bullet was at his heart. Because they didn't want to probably do a squib over his heart.
Not. That's not a good thing.
Right. That makes sense.
And he's like, he was hurt anyway. Is what Becker says.
Whatever.
And no one really has any remorse for the guy either.
I don't know. Deke was pretty shook up. He was like,
because Deke was like, oh, you can buy it from me if you want it so bad.
Yeah.
That was awesome. He's like, how about this? Here's a deal for you. Your life for the Thunderhawk. And Deke's kind of like, okay, yeah, you just killed some guys. I'm here with my pants down now. Sure, here's the Thunderhawk back.
Epic.
And honestly, like, Becker was kind of a gentleman because on the way out, he said...
he doesn't get it back yet. We get another scene here.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We cut to another filler here.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
So Deke's like, man, I'll get it for you, man. I know where it is. I get it. And then we see Leo's bar. And this is where Jackson apparently hangs out. And Gage and Sydney are going there to try to find him. And, I think this scene taken out of context of anything exemplifies like the last 4 or 5 seasons of Walker, Texas Ranger. It's just...
Well, definitely the last 2.
Right. Like law enforcement officers walk into a bar asking for information. They get 0 information. Somebody or many people assault them with deadly force. They ninja kick them, don't question them, and leave. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable.
And I'm here for it. 100%.
Yeah, Gage and Sydney throw down when they dance. They dance.
I have some other observations. Yeah. The fighting in this episode was like, I don't think any of the good guys took a single punch. Maybe that was just a last fight. I noticed it in the last sequence. Towards the end of the episode.
The dude's got like a 10-inch long knife that he's just whipping around.
That's the first thing happened. Like Gage and Sydney going, "Where's Jackson?" Whatever, and some tall blonde guy's like, well, I don't know. And then he pulls a knife and starts attacking him. And then we have no idea what's happened. Like, Sydney's doing, like, flip kicks to guy's face in high heels. Unbelievable. And then, exactly, describe this punch he does.
We see this
There's like a typewriter punch to someone's stomach.
A rapid punch to someone's a thorax.
Right.
But the sound effects were all the same. It was like
full range sound effects.
Sydney and Gage both use that tactic in this episode.
It's so good. Yeah.
Pretty good move.
And it was just them tearing up some bad guys in a bar. I mean, no complaints.
What did Jackson do to earn that guy's allegiance? Like, that out of nowhere, if someone even asks for you, you will attack a police officer and murder them.
Well, you answered that question, but we did skip over the scene where Jackson went to probably that same bar.
Oh, yeah.
Bribed the bartender.
Yeah, he just gave him money.
It was a different bar, yeah. Well, think about it. If this is the bar that Jackson always hangs out at, would he go to that bar that he always hangs out at and ask for Deke?
Well, if it's a place where bad guys hang out all the time, then obviously, yeah.
No. It's a different bar.
Well, all right. Well,
anyways, this bar fight, again, pure filler, but at least was a bit of action, because we haven't had a ton of action recently. So.
Yeah, it definitely woke me up.
Yeah, which is good because this next scene, Becker gets the Hawk back.
Yeah, so it was like a gentleman thing for Becker to do because he tells Deke, "All right, man, I'm just gonna let you keep all the computers. No hard feelings, man." And Deke's like, "Oh man,
that's right."
Yeah, and then and so Becker and Jackson leave and they're outside and I'm like, "Oh man, they're just gonna let them live," but of course. The moment they get outside,
Becker throws the silver briefcase into the back seat of this Sebring or whatever they got, and he's like, "On second thought, I'm going to remove the Thunderhawk and crush these assholes."
Right, and we're about over halfway through the episode. We haven't seen the Thunderhawk used,
right?
And we're like, please use the Thunderhawk on Deke, please.
Wish granted.
Yeah, so this was unbelievable because Becker in all black pulls out this ridiculous like sci-fi murder weapon, puts it on his arm,
a silver laser gauntlet.
It straps it on his arm like Metroid, holds the handle with his other one, and braces himself.
Punches in a couple controls on the bottom.
The key and the code.
Right, you need to know. You need to
punch in the right frequency.
How did he know? He didn't have the manual.
Well, he was working for the company for a long time.
He's insider,
yeah. He probably had an extra copy of the manual.
Yeah,
right. That's true.
But so then he takes Deke's headquarters, which looks like a sawmill or something like that, in the middle of nowhere that was probably going to come down anyway, and he aims and pulls the trigger. And we are treated to some excellent special effects. What do we got, Bob, here?
I don't know. Was this? I wonder if they're shooting on if they had digital effects at this point. It looked like
that was definitely a digital effect. Yeah,
but
that was digital.
Very early digital. Like this was.
It was. Yeah, it looks like
some wavy lines.
Just like grainy,
a couple of wavy lines.
Black. Yeah. It looks
like this is just not your lucky day.
Definitely wasn't Deke's lucky day.
No.
It's like a bunch of grainy black and white blobs coming at this.
There's some like kind of rainbowy stuff going on.
It was like transparent. It was like a stream of water, almost superimposed.
Sound looks like.
Right. And this is a good point to say. So
imagine a sound laser.
And it took down Deke's headquarters, and there's this great interior shots of Deke and company like pretending to like fall over,
earthquake or something.
Stuff falling down, and we just assume they're squashed by the building coming down.
Certainly,
they're done.
Yeah, and then we got a flash to later that day when Walker and company are investigating the scene, and they're like, "Oh, this looks like complete devastation." When it really just looks like a building caved in on itself. But they're like, "Oh, this must be the Thunderhawk."
They're really starting to put the pieces together now. They knew there was some sort of turf war going on between the Cowboys and whoever took the Thunderhawk. But now, Walker, he sees it all crystal clear.
Right.
It's because he bottles his emotions in, and that's how he has such good detective work.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And, he doesn't show any emotion whatsoever when he says, looks like the Thunderhawk was used.
Right.
And, looks like the Cowboys got it.
Flash to the next scene here. We Walker and Trevette are brought into, the ME office, to see the driver who was driving Becker, his body. And the CSI agent was saying, hey, look, he was shot in the side. So it didn't come from outside the car. And they're like, that's where Becker was seating. He must have shot his own driver and flipped the car intentionally over 3 times to make it look real.
Wow.
It took
and
like
it sure
3 days
did.
to figure this out.
Sure did. Yeah, I know. I'm wondering if this is like their way of like appeasing the people who watch CSI too. Because like this was when CSI was just coming on the scene. It's like a hot new show. It's like, oh, let's go see the medical examiner for 5 seconds.
And her glasses were like falling off her face, right? Like they were like at the last tip of her nose.
I don't know, but she clearly loved her job. She seemed really into it.
Yeah,
so
good for her.
Yeah. So that was their brief CSI moment. But they're like, okay, well, I guess we better figure out what's going on with Becker because seems like he took the Thunderhawk.
Right. So they go back to, what's the name of that company?
Lamar Industries.
They talk to the scientist, and he's like, oh, I don't know. He's been here a long time.
That's the qualifier.
Yeah. So he can't have any grudges build up over the 15 years he's worked here.
No, I mean, we saw that in Deadline, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
or the 1 or 6 hours.
Yep, that one too. Yep. Walker's like, no, I've seen it all. I know.
Yeah, and so he's like, well, let's go to Becker's computer, and Trevette pulls up his email. It's all encrypted, and Walker's like, well, let's see if the email addresses are encrypted.
It's not encrypted. Okay, it's in Wingdings.
Yeah. Select all, change the font.
Yeah. It's like,
I think that's what they
hacks
did.
into the mainframe.
Right, he's like, let me change it back to Times New Roman. Okay, here it is.
And so he's able to see not the messages, but the email addresses they were sent to. And
First the country, I think.
Then he pulls up one of the location of one of the email addresses.
It's the airport. He sees the airport.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's like, oh, this must be him. A lot of messages to the airport, which is where we saw that manual for the Thunderhawk, which is where Jackson. Oh, they must have been working together. And then he sees a lot of emails from like a foreign email account, and somehow he's able to right click and like a message comes up and says, "This email's from Iraq." Bum bum bum. And Mark is like, better contact Interpol.
Oh, right, yeah.
Spoiler alert, we don't see Interpol.
yeah, seriously.
So then we fast forward to Becker's place, and he is apparently about to make a deal with the Iraqi sheik. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what a sheik is, but that's what they say in the episode, so we're just going to keep rolling with it.
So, Becker's place, pretty posh. Got a fountain out front and all that fun stuff.
It looks like every bad guy's mansion in Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah,
it really does.
They bought a neighborhood.
And they always have a drive-through driveway.
Or like the
circle
thing.
Yeah, you gotta have that with a fountain in it.
Quick getaway.
So, Jackson starts asking questions. He's like, well, man, what's the sheik going to use this for? And Becker's like, for 50 mil, I don't care.
Right. And so the sheik shows up in his limo or whatever and comes in with his bodyguard, and they're about to make the deal. And Jackson says, man, Sheik, what are you going to do with this Sheik, baby? And Sheik's like, I'm going to blow up the Capitol building on January 6th.
He's like, how do you feel about that?
And Jackson's like, I'm an American. No, you can't destroy our government.
He's like hell you won't.
Right. And then as soon as he said half of the word hell, the bodyguard for the Sheik pulls this weird, like, telescoping knife.
Yeah, it's like a poker or something.
Stabs him in the stomach, and Jackson gone. Sheik,
That's all.
Jackson out.
Yeah. And then Becker, they look over at Becker and say, you got any problem? And Becker's like, you can blow up the White House as long as you give me that green.
And the Sheik's like, good idea.
Maybe I will. And then the music's like, bing, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, it's all used to.
It's like, Oh no! Oh no! It was like, oh, what is happening right now?
So the Sheik gets away, and Becker goes outside. He leaves Jackson's body on his living room floor, and he's like, "All right, guys, we got to be out of here in 10. Let's split up the proceeds." And just as they're about to leave, the Rangers arrive.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Full crew.
Fight proceeds.
Excellent. And I would say Chuck Norris at this point hasn't done a lot of fighting.
No,
Maybe he might get a few punches in here, maybe a kick.
he gets some roundhouse kicks in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all of the roundhouse kicks are on this stunt guy who I'm sure Mignon knows his name. I'm sure everyone on the crew knows his name. I've seen him in 6 of our episodes at least.
Yeah.
He's in all the episodes.
He took some serious
He
pain.
does stunts. And he's the one that Walker's fighting this whole time.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out his name. We need to know it because we're going to see him again.
All right. All right. So needless to say, the Rangers, they wreck house, and then they're interrogating Becker in his living room, and Becker's like, "I'm not telling you anything."
This is the weirdest.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest thing, right?
And then they're able to turn him.
Like immediately.
Yeah, I wrote this down as sloppy writing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. The whole time he's like, I don't care.
Right.
And they're like, well, $50 million, he could have paid you more. This is nothing to him. He's going to destroy things.
Yeah, it was nothing to him.
You.
Yeah, he's got the hawk and you've got nothing, and he's going to destroy your country.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what really was supposed to turn him, was like, well, he didn't care before. Why is he going to care now?
Right. Like, Becker was essentially like a pre-TSA agent.
Pretty much Walker and Trevette.
Security guard. Why does he care?
Walker and Trevette were like, that foreigner's making you look like a fool.
Yeah.
That was their argument.
It worked. This is Texas. It worked, man.
Yeah.
And so, Becker's like, you guys are right, but I'm going to need a deal. But I'm not going to wait for my lawyer. Here's where he is.
Yeah.
Like, you've got your deal. Wink.
He's at, believe it or not, the airport. Oh, yeah.
Hashtag go figure.
Because he's got to get to Iraq somehow. Okay. Right. Intercept any flights going to Iraq. You've done it.
Unbelievable. So then we flash to the airport. We get some more of that. Like,
This is where the music is particularly insane. Amazing.
Oh man.
Amazing music. Just insane. And, the Rangers, they take out all the Sheik's dudes, and the Sheik's like, oh my God, like, I can't deal with this. I got to just get on my jet and go.
Right. And we might say that this fight scene was so long.
It did take a while.
We had Gage, Sidney, Trevette, and Walker all fighting each different guys. We saw the whole fight for each one of them.
My bad. This is the fight where Walker's fighting the stunt guy.
Oh, okay,
Sorry,
yeah.
my bad.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's this
Yeah,
one.
and we might add that they all jump from the Sheik's house. They jump in a helicopter to get to the airport.
Yeah, and Walker jumps off a helicopter onto some bad guys.
Who were holding the Thunderhawk, and they dropped the Thunderhawk.
Right. They also saw him coming from about a quarter mile away, but
Right.
Walker gets outside of the helicopter, jumps off, and takes out 2 guys who are carrying the Thunderhawk. The Sheik, he's like, oh man, I better take off now. There's no way, no one's going to come to save me. So he gets the plane on the runway, and then this fight ensues where each Ranger's fighting people for like, it might have been 5 minutes.
Yeah, total. It felt like 5 minutes. It's probably like 2 minutes.
It gives the Sheik's private jet plenty of time to taxi and start taking off.
Oh, totally. And
serving the-
and like you said, Evan, like a Gage does Sydney's move by like kind of rapid punching someone in the stomach. But it was epic to the point where what happens next, I was surprised by because the fight went on so long.
Sorry, you know what it is.
Did you guys see what happens coming? I didn't see it.
I completely did. So Walker,
I did not. Bob, did you?
See what was going to happen next?
Yeah.
No, because I didn't know. I didn't realize that they had knocked the
Thunderhawk off.
I thought the Thunderhawk was on the plane.
I didn't know whether or not it was, but I knew this would happen.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, at some level, I think we all knew.
Yeah. Like throughout the whole episode, after stealing that vital the most important piece of evidence from the whole crime scene at the airport, the manual from the Thunderhawk, Walker just reads through it.
Well, we might add that Walker, while the rest of the Rangers were out like doing all the dirty work, he was sitting at his desk reading the manual for the Thunderhawk.
Right.
Yeah,
Just in case, as you do.
Important.
Yeah.
Super important. You need to know its capabilities.
That might have been one of the times I laughed the hardest when they zoomed in on his desk as he's just reading this manual for the Thunderhawk.
And he's not reading, he's just staring onto space.
Staring through it. Yeah, so that really all adds up to this moment.
Here's the question. Was it actually a copy of the script?
Yeah. Oh, it probably was.
Might as well be, right?
It says, stare intensely at this script. Yeah. So what happens is the plane's about to take off, and it's headed towards Trevette and Walker. And Walker goes, oh, yeah, the Thunderhawk's actually right here. So Trevette's next to him, and he has this Sci-fi gun on his arm. He's lining it up with the plane, with the Sheik that's approaching, coming right at him. And Trevette's like, Walker, do you even know how to use that thing? And he's like, I read the manual.
He's like, I hope the manual was right.
Yeah. And so he kind of dials in a few things on it, lines up, and I'm like, wait a minute, is he going to like incinerate the Sheik?
That's what I was thinking.
That's what I was thinking, you know?
I would have been cool with it.
Yeah, it would have been better, I think. What did he actually end up doing? He just slowed it down?
What if he just...
He kept it from going up?
Yeah,
and then he just slowed it down.
He blasted it as it was about to lift off the ground.
Right, and I'm waiting for it to blow up. I'm like, please blow up, please. Even though that would be weird.
We see the controls inside, and I paused it a couple times. The controls inside, they have these, I think, digital overlays that just say off. So it's like a manual dial that just has like a needle and like hash marks. And then these little red things on there that are just like off. And the plane basically shuts off, doesn't take off, and instead the Sheik's like, run them down, because of course Walker and Trevette are right in the runway, in the middle, like right in front of the plane. And Trevette's like, maybe we should step out of the way, and Walker's like, nope, it'll stop. And then it stops in like the cheesiest split screen stop you see. It
just stopped right before it hit him. You know, and Walker knew, because he read the manual, he had it down to a science.
Yeah.
So they get the Sheik, and we get to see Walker use the gun in the least cool way possible. He didn't blow anything up.
Yeah. It did make some squiggly lines on the screen, though. So
pretty sweet.
Yeah, we got that.
We assumed the Sheik was taken into custody, perhaps by Interpol at that point.
Right. He probably had a few kidney stones broken up on the way over there.
I should hope so.
Then we flash back to CDs, and Alex and Walker are there, and
Alex is still there. She's been waiting the whole time.
Yeah. So that's the only place we see her. She probably had a few burgers. And she's like, okay, Walker, well, what were you going to say? And Walker's like, oh, yeah, I had a lot to say about, that whole men versus women. I don't know. I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And then Trevette shows up, and he's like, oh, no, there's this other thing going down. And Walker's like, guess I better go. And he leaves Alex there again.
Wow.
What a gentleman.
Unbelievable.
Whew. Well, that about sums up this episode. We'd love to get a shout out to our friend and collaborator, Adam Lauritsen, who's been drawing the amazing Walkerstrations on our social media. Be sure to check out his other art on Instagram at @Imagination Run Amok. When we come back, it'll be time for us to each rate Thunderhawk on a scale of 0 to 10 boots to the face, resulting in our patented Roundhouse Roulette episode ranking, the complete results of which are available on our website, roundhouseroulette.com. Please don't go away.
Ranger Bob, Evan the Geek, is bearing down on us in his private plane. What do we do?
Quick, toss me that there experimental Thunderhawk sonic ray arm cannon.
But Bob, if not set correctly, we could be looking at wiping out the whole airport and being liable for Metroid arm cannon genocide.
No worries, Ranger Adam. I read the manual between donuts on my lunch break. If set correctly, it'll simply shut down all electronics on the Geek's plane and bring it safely to a halt.
Well, I hope you know what you're doing, because a mishap like that could thwart our pledge to deliver the light of Walker, Texas Ranger to the world. Speaking of which, if you listeners would like to join us in our mission, please share the pod with a friend, or leave us a kind review wherever you get your podcasts. Likewise, if you'd like to help us keep the lights on at headquarters, check out our shirts, posters, and freshly cleaned vintage action figures at roundhouseroulette.com. Or join the fun on our Patreon page. Ooh. But most importantly, we thank you for listening.
Quick, Ranger Adam, toss me the hawk.
Alley-oop.
Hold on to your hats. You're up.
Pilot, what's going on? Get this thing off the ground.
Ooh, dang. I must have had my settings backwards.
Hey, listeners, Adam here. Don't let this happen to you. Always be sure to check the settings on your Thunderhawk sonic laser arm cannon before use.
This has been a PSA from Roundhouse Roulette International. May your walker shine bright into the night, and your bad guys be subdued in a shark-jumping laser cannon fight. Wow, that was something.
Well, after recapping this whole episode, we went and saw Wolfpack, and I was blown away. We just got back. We haven't talked about the episode, what we thought about it. We swore ourselves to secrecy while we got funked.
I feel funky.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel funky?
It's so funky.
I do. But this episode wasn't playing.
No, I mean, we could have used the Thunderhawk to get some of the people in the crowd out of the way. But,
nice.
you know, and actually there was a drone flying around too, so we could have nailed that. But
Exactly, yeah, that was kind of a liability for the festival, so the Thunderhawk would have come in handy for sure. But we would have risked, short-circuiting the electronics in Joe Dart's base, and that could have been devastating for the funk.
that is true.
Yeah.
For the funk would have ended right then and there.
But excellent show by Wolfpack. But what about this show, Walker, Texas Ranger? Evan, what did you think of this episode, bro?
I thought this episode was the perfect blend of hilarious, bizarre, and featured Chuck Norris just being like a doormat most of the time, and then doing like a series of ridiculous roundhouse kicks at the end.
And jumping off a helicopter.
He did jump off a helicopter and knock some people down. So it had 4 explosions, 3 fights, and 5 roundhouse kicks from Chuck Norris himself. Anyways, I found this one wildly entertaining, and I think if someone were to be curious about a Walker Texas Ranger episode, I might point them towards Thunderhawk, because it was that over the top and ridiculous. And I've been saying that we haven't seen a lot of episodes yet, and we probably won't see a lot where, you know, your perception of reality is skewed by what's going on, except for what Chuck Norris is doing, because that's ridiculous. That's in every episode. But, like, a sonic ray gun seems very sci-fi.
Right.
And yet it was lumped into here. I think I'll feel the same way when we see the one where there's, like, a child that's designated to be, like, the next faux Dalai Lama.
Dalai Lama, yeah.
And then Walker has to, like, channel mystical energy and fight another guy who's doing the same. Like, there aren't a lot of episodes that feature, like, magic or sci-fi elements, and this one does. So not the most prototypical Walker episode. That said, wildly entertaining, completely ridiculous, over the top. I think I give it a 7, because it's still... There's not a lot of Chuck Norris action. So I would give it a 7.
Dude, I was right there with you, a 7. I loved this episode. But, first of all, the bookend cheese jokes, they had to get Alex in there somehow. But that didn't help things. Not that it usually does.
She was very much shoehorned into this episode.
Yeah. Contract thing, you think?
She was bookends.
Yeah,
bookends.
Her contract says she's in every episode.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out after we do everything else. But here's the thing. I feel like in this episode, they should have chose one of the other villain. I mean, I loved Deke. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel like they would have, like, it would have been a more straightforward story as opposed to them being like Walker figuring out that a bad guy stole another bad guy's stuff, and he's got to get it from this bad guy who got it from this other bad guy. Needlessly complicated for a Walker episode, and a waste of time when they could have had some more of Deke being crazy, doing some more stuff, throwing some more grenades. But that said, I laughed so many times, and it was thoroughly entertaining. But yeah, not a lot of Chuck Norris, and I mean, if I was going to recommend it to someone, they'd have a good time, but maybe not get the full picture of what this show's about. Yeah, I'm right there with Evan on that one. Now, Bob, you particularly like this one, from what I hear. What do you got?
I'm going to turn this a little bit.
Yeah. I think you're going to need to lay this mic up here.
I had an 8 in my notes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I get it.
And, yeah, the way the plot kind of jumped around and there's the multiple bad guys, I thought it was great, because I just didn't care.
Right.
Like, if they had, like, a bunch of other stupid side stories about...
Right.
relationships and things like that.
By season 8, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, just as long as it was just the
Keeps
action was, yeah, exactly. And really the sound of the video and sound effects were just...
I mean, literally, I think some people's TV screens are cracking when this was on TV.
It probably destroyed a lot of tubes back then.
Yeah, the glass on the TV started cracking from the punch sounds and kick sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, sound and music in this episode, phenomenal. I think
dive bombs, Indian music,
peak,
like Middle Eastern,
absolute
shredding. Yeah, So 8 for me, man. Loved it.
Nice.
All right, excellent.
All right, well, that gives this episode a roundhouse rating of 7.666 boots to the face. And I think we can all agree that the only thing that would have made this episode better is if Volpek did the sound.
Did all the music.
Yeah, okay. But let us know what you think on social media or by emailing us at roundhouseroulette@gmail.com. When we come back, we'll be spinning that roundhouse roulette wheel and selecting our next episode.
And here we go. Bob, do you want to do the honors?
Oh, in real life. All right, here we go. Erupt.
Season 3, episode
Season
13,
3, okay.
Money Train. Okay.
You think it's a physical train? Probably, right?
Yeah, for sure. I bet
it's got to be right on the nose.
I bet it has money on it, too.
All right, Money Train, air date January 14th, 1995. The thrill of working on the set of a Hollywood Western quickly turns into serious business when Walker and Trevette discover a group of stuntmen on the shoot plan to carry out an actual train heist. Yes. So this is awesome. A Western in modern time.
We hope you join us next time when we share our reactions to Season 3, Episode 13, Money Train. In the meantime, share your opinions with us on Facebook and on Instagram at Roundhouse Roulette and on Twitter at Roundhouse Pod. And please, we're desperate. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Well, thanks for listening. And until next time.
May the eyes of the Ranger be upon you.
When you're in Texas, look behind you. Oh, 'cause that's where the Ranger's gonna be.